Hi, good afternoon, friends. My name is Krishangi Radhe, and I come to you from Durban, South Africa. I'm an NLP practitioner, a timeline therapist, educator, public relations practitioner, and a coach. I specialize, my niche is actually helping women and children, and specifically because of my education background, my background as a teacher, it puts me in good stead where I can help both parents and children alike. So I'm sure that if you're on my page right now, which is Sankalpa Coaching with Krishangi Radhe, you would see that I've held a couple of programs during the pandemic, online training for mums, which has been extremely phenomenal. We've had really great sessions in terms of homeschooling and so much more. So I'd like to welcome you. I'm just going to wait for a couple of more people to join this live. It is an impromptu one where it's unannounced. So if you are on, and I'm going to share it on my multiple platforms at the moment, in my groups, I have two groups. If you are not on that, then please request to join. One is Strong Women Creating Magic, and the other one is the Positive Parenting for Moms. So if you haven't joined that and you may be keen to do so, then just go to my page under groups. You would find the join button, and you could send a request through to join that particular group. There's lots happening on those groups. What you see here on my page is possibly just, daily posts, but what really goes on in terms of coaching is what happens within those groups. So I'm just going to get onto my other device and share this live so we can reach far more people than what we're on at the moment. And I'm going to go straight into my topic also this afternoon. We're looking at mind power beyond what we are facing now, because we know that at some stage we are going to be moving away from this pandemic, hopefully sooner than later. And what happens thereafter and how we approach things thereafter is what's going to count also. Surely for now, one of the greatest things that are on our mind is our health and safety and well-being for our family, for ourselves, and just a health and safety point of view. And we are all very anxious at the moment in terms of going out and social distancing and what tomorrow holds. So naturally, we are finding that we are in a situation where we feel a lot of anxiety, a lot of fears have come up, a lot of unsettled emotions also, and that's real because we've never experienced something like this before. It's something totally new to us. And when you approach something that's new, just think about your child's first day at school. You were fearful, you were anxious, your child was fearful, your child was anxious, and you had to go through a new routine in order to settle and feel more comfortable. So where we're at the moment is actually looking beyond right now. And that is what I'd like to present to you. Did you think or did you consider what life would look like after you get back out there, whether it's to the world itself, whether it's back to work, and so on? How would you really approach your days? And what has this time actually allowed you to think about? Have you been intentional with your days? And I can totally understand where a lot of us may just feel that we want to get through these days. We want to just come out of all of this safe and well, and that's perfectly okay. But there's a lot more out there. There's many more of us who are actually thinking, what's the future like of our children's education? What will work look like? What will our job security be like? How does this affect our finances? And all of this is extremely real. Many people are very worried about their financial state at the moment. And that's understandable because the economy has taken a great impact. Those are real issues. Shamkati, welcome. So those are real issues that we're looking at. It's real things about mindset and how we are going to allow ourselves to transform during this time. What is it that we can take, and what is it that we can share and impart not only to ourselves but to our family? If you are joining me on this live, please drop me a comment. Tell me where you are, and tell me what have you learned, or how have you spent your days? How have you spent your days during lockdown or quarantine, wherever in the world you are? I'm actually going to share this on my groups at the moment. So if you can just be a second, if you could just bear with me a second as we're talking about this. What I was saying is looking at intention, to have some intention in terms of our consciousness of how we're going to go about our days with intent and with mindfulness. However, beyond that, how are we going to now embrace the world around us? So when we're following social distancing at the moment, we have to become more mindful. We have to become more intentional in our engagement when we go out. Perhaps if we are essential workers, if we are looking at going out to buy essential goods and shopping and so on. So we are becoming far more intentional in terms of the way we live and our choices. We're also looking at what conscious decisions are we going to make as the next step going beyond this pandemic? It's going to last a long time. So we're in it now for week 7, I think, in South Africa. And for the rest of the world, it may look and feel even longer. How are you going to actually now? What is the next step? And my daughter asked me, so Mom, what is the topic for this live this afternoon? And I said to her, well, we're looking at what is the next step. As easy as that. And she said to me in a very simplistic way, which I think children are beautiful in a sense that they are simplistic, and they just break things down and keep things very easy compared to us adults that bring in a whole lot of complication. It is exactly that in terms of, she said to me, well, what is the next step? If you just put one foot beyond the next one, that is the next step. And for her, that was a very simplistic explanation. And of course, I would fully agree with that too. However, when we're looking at that, you have to have a plan. So when you're walking, so which direction are you heading? So for us, it may look like, for you, it may look like, I'm worried about my finances at the moment. I'm worried about my job security. I'm worried about my professional life and my career. What's going to happen with that? Or it could be, I'm worried about my child's education, because we will soon find out what's going to happen with our schools and educational system, and whether as parents we are going to be comfortable with that. So all those fears and anxieties are very real. Now, when it comes to fitness and health goals, maybe this pandemic has also brought about something where we are going to become far more aware and intentional in terms of our health. We are going to become far more aware of what we consume. We are going to be far more aware and conscious about our exercise and health routines. So all those things are actually really, really important for us to delve in at the moment. I'm just going to, it's come up on my device here, and I'm just going to share it into my group where they have been expecting me this afternoon. So I'm going to share that in a moment, and I will be with you back now. So when we look at that, we are looking at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you may be familiar with that. Our safety and security is foremost our concern, and money-wise, that is also a big thing in terms of providing that safety, providing that security, providing that shelter, the health care, or whatever we may need for ourselves and our families. However, as I said, that is what's on the top of our mind. So mindset is really super important at this time. It's very important in terms of how we're going to move forward beyond the pandemic, or even now. How are we going to be moving forward in terms of creating that safety net for us, bringing about that self-awareness? What's important to you right now? Could it be your family? Could it be your safety and security if you are an essential worker? Could it be business? And you know, many of us feel that we self-sabotage, and I'm going to tell you more about that in a moment. You know, we self-sabotage, and if you are joining the live, drop me a comment, tell me who you are, who's watching with me, and share. You know, this is the value of real-time communication. So, self sabotage is something that we do to ourselves on a daily basis without even knowing that we're doing it. We're putting ourselves down all the time in terms of feeling that we're not good enough, in terms of creating our own limiting beliefs. Now, of course, these things are there. These things are there actually for because we have had previous experience. Something could have not went our way a long time ago, and we now bring it with us as to where we're at in our lives. So this whole self-sabotage is something that, as women especially, we look down upon ourselves. Perhaps it was a previous relationship that didn't work out well. Perhaps it was an experience that we had in our childhood that now comes back years later to haunt us. Perhaps we were not really great public speakers when we were presenting that one oral, when we were in standard 8 or grade, whatever it could have been back in the day. And we now find that that's our defining moment where we have that limitations. So when we look at our self-awareness, we understand that self-sabotage is something that we're doing to ourselves on a constant timeline. Every day we make those decisions and we make those choices about our life. So if you were wanting to start a business, if you were looking at changing a career, now you think we are in the middle of a pandemic, I can't do anything. But let me tell you that that is incorrect. That mindset should not hold you back. Because we are facing these health challenges at the moment and the world looks and feels different, it does not mean that you cannot grow during this time. It does not mean that you cannot have the growth mindset. However you wish to invest your time right now is actually going to take you a level up when we're out of the pandemic state. So what do you want to achieve? And I'm going to emphasize, last week we spoke on goals, and I've had really great feedback with some women coming back to me to say that they were actually needing that little push or that edge to say, yes, we can still achieve our goals even under these circumstances. So when we're looking at what we want to achieve, it doesn't mean that because we are in the situation that we can't think beyond, right? So here are a few tips, or not even tips, I'm going to use something that's far more greater. Here's some great advice or knowledge that may work for you depending how you employ it. Number one, we talk about positivity and we talk about energy. And energies is something that we give off, right? We attract and we also give off. So if you are looking at waking up, tomorrow is going to be day 30 something here in South Africa. When we're looking at waking up, Varushka, welcome. When we look at waking up in the morning and saying, okay, this is the kind of day I'm going to set out to have. That's exactly the kind of day you will have. It's a proven fact that if you wake up and say intentionally and consciously, this is the day that I'm going to have, you're going to put your mindset to that to say, that's what I'm going to do. Now, the same instance is if you're going to wake up and say, this is the kind of day that I'm going to have. Tiloshni, welcome. You're going to then say, well, if I'm going to have a bad day today, 90% chance you are going to have a bad day. So your intentional mindset is very important as to how you approach your day, your positive outlook, and only you can give yourself that. Should you place your happiness in the hands of somebody else, you are going to end up, most likely, not in all cases, but you will end up being disappointed. Your happiness, your conscious living, and your intent rests with you. So, number one would be your investment in your positive outlook. Taking charge and being accountable for your mindset is super important. Number two, and I've spoken about this before, self-talk. Self-talk is what we do or what we say to ourselves on a daily basis. And it would even go beyond daily basis. It would go all the time. Okay? When you talk to yourself, self-talk. And all of us do that. I think whoever's watching, and I've got a good few people with me on the live at the moment, you would be telling yourself, I'm not good enough. perhaps I could not be good enough for that specific job or that specific relationship, or I'm not a good parent, or whatever it may be. But because you are telling yourself that, and perhaps there were reasons why you feel that way, it doesn't mean that that doesn't have to change. You could perhaps feel at this moment that I'm not good enough, but how do you take steps to break away from that mindset, that limiting belief? What are the steps that you are going to take to move away from those negative emotions? There are tools and there are systems in place that you could use to actually move away from that negative mindset, move away from those limiting beliefs, because that's exactly what we do. We self-sabotage. We are our worst enemies. So when we look at that, we are actually looking at that positive self-talk where we can actually whisper to ourselves, and I often write about this. If you follow my blogs and my columns, I often write about this, that we are our own best friend. But being consistent and constant at that can be also very difficult. So we're looking at a positive outlook. We're looking at bringing ourselves back to an intentional space whenever our mind runs off to the negativity or to self-sabotaging. We are looking at bringing ourselves back in terms of a positive self-talk, a positive identification with ourselves, and being comfortable with who we are. And if we're not, if we have reason to, what are we doing to actually change that? Are we sitting in a complacent space, in an area where we're just going to feel stuck forever and not take that step to actually get out and be able to feel good about ourselves? The next one is reframing our purpose, reframing our thoughts, refocusing, and having that vision to actually say, post-pandemic, I need to start now. If I want job security, if I'm going to begin something else, to delve further into another business, it could be something else on the side that's going to give me a little extra income because I've taken a salary cut at this moment. The time is now to start refocusing, reframing, and having that vision. When we talk about reframing, we're looking at our thoughts. Our thoughts are such that we could come out to the world and say, I'm so useless at this. And there's one particular thing that I'm working on personally at the moment, which I believe I do not have the proper skill set to do at the moment. But because it's meaningful to me, I'm going to try during this pandemic to actually learn. Okay, so I'm also in a sense of a lifelong learner. We are lifelong learners in whatever our profession may be. I read a lot. Okay, I read a lot. I grow in terms of, not only do I have my professional ability, I have my certifications. That does not mean that I stop learning. It does not mean, and for those of you on the live who know me personally, know that I'm actually so much more into reading a book rather than watching TV. And that's a personal choice. It's because that's what I find comfort in, and I believe that if I spend my time, or if I spend time in self-growth, I feel I've lived a purposeful day. And when I feel that I've lived a purposeful day, I'm able to impart that knowledge, grow personally, and share that with my family. I'm able to become a better coach for you all. I'm able to just become a better person in terms of investing in myself. How do I spend my time? Okay, who do I spend my time with? Do I spend my time with people who drag me down? Do I spend my time conversing with those who are not allowing me to flourish? Or am I in a circle of negativity? Am I in a circle that's going to be saying, oh, well, I've read your past column and I found that this, that, yes, I humbly take all criticism, and whether it's something, but it has to be something to allow me to grow. But if you are going to be in a circle where it's going to pull you down, especially during this pandemic, then I'm going to invite you to actually refocus, to say, okay, if I'm on that particular group, whether it's an online group, whether it's a chat group that's posting negative stuff that's continuously inundating your inbox with stats from around the world in terms of the pandemic, and it's bringing you down, then you have to make a conscious decision as to how you want to and who you want to befriend at this moment. So your personal growth, your self-growth, your refocusing, your reframing, your vision is exactly, I'm just checking for any comments. I've seen nothing is coming through at the moment. And so when we're looking at that, we are looking at you investing your energy into where you need to have your life. It's not going to be based on somebody else or what the world looks like for somebody else. It's going to be within your home and for you. So fear is there. Fear is a natural emotion at the moment. We're fearful of growing. We're fearful of even thinking about the next day. We're fearful about what education systems are going to look like. We're fearful about job security. We're fearful about our own health when we go outside to do shopping, to go to an essential store. Fear is there, but how you deal with this fear with the steps that I've actually taken you through today, the positive outlook, the positive self-talk, being your own best friend, your reframes, your mindset reframes, refocusing, and what vision you'd like to come out of this pandemic or grow within this pandemic is what's so important. I see that I've got no comments coming through here. I do have a few people watching with me, and I'd like to leave you with this message. It will of course be saved as a replay, so if you're catching the replay, please tell me it's a hashtag replay, and please do share this video with those that you may find how it will help. I always invite you to like my page, Sankalpa Coaching, follow that. Okay, my YouTube channel, where I also post all my live trainings onto YouTube for those who do not have social media handles. And also my 2 Facebook groups that are private at the moment. And if you feel you'll be a good fit for that, that's the Positive Parenting group. And the other one is Strong Woman Creating Magic, that was created especially to delve into issues of the mind, transformation during this pandemic. I have a webinar planned for the 29th of April, that's Thursday evening. And if you'd like more details and we're looking at mindset, I'm going to focus specifically on the growth mindset. Okay, growing, because I believe that that's super important at this time. The time is now to grow. Whether you find that you are stuck in any particular situation, the time is now to actually focus on your growth. Once you grow, you are able to serve your family better and whoever else is in your circle. So that growth mindset webinar is by registration only. You could drop me a private message, a direct message. Oops, I'm going to turn this around. You can drop me a private message to ask for more details on that exclusive webinar, and that's for Wednesday, the 29th of April, where we talk all things mindset and how you would be able to grow within this time. So that is me, Krishangi Radhe, and share this video and let's reach out in terms of mindset transformation during this pandemic and beyond, because that's what's important. That how do we come out of this? How strong do we come out of this? Whether it's fitness, whether it's spirituality, which is extremely important, delving into our consciousness and becoming more mindful and intentional in our living, spending time meditating, journaling, spending quiet time during this time and just touching in with your inner being, because this pandemic has also offered us a time, a beautiful time, to actually delve deeper into our spiritual consciousness, which we all have. It's universal. So that spiritual consciousness is also important. It cannot be forgotten. It's actually the core of each one of us. So when we're looking at mindset, all things mindset, fitness and health, spirituality, finances, a huge one, whether you're in the corporate sector, whether you're thinking about starting your own business, whether you are self-employed, whether you're a parent who's just worried about what's going to happen to your children going beyond this, whether you want to just achieve some of your personal growth in whichever, whether you want to just release negative emotions in terms of carrying baggage from previous relationships or previous experiences in our life, then this webinar would be something that you would be interested in. Drop me a direct message and I will send you more details on that. And please do share with other women who this would help. This is Krishangi Radhe, and we will talk again soon. Through the pandemic, I will be coming on impromptu like this, unannounced sometimes, where I just feel I'd like to share some of the knowledge of coaching, of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming with you, and that's my forte. So, as I said, some will be announced, some won't be, but I am here where you could drop me a message, and then we'll take it from there. Have a lovely evening if you're in South Africa, wherever you are in the world, and we'll talk again soon.